In my last video, I shared with you all that I am on the path of doing it all my way, creating my dream life one step at a time. I shared how homeschooling supports me in building my business, making my career pivot, and creating the life of my dreams. But what I didn't talk about was my fight with imposter syndrome that I've had to overcome along the way to get to this place. In this video, I'm sharing my journey with imposter syndrome and what I've had to do to confront it and defeat it. So it's much easier to feel confident when you are crushing things in life and things are going your way. But there's another level of confidence required when things are not going your way and everything that once gave you confidence, you no longer have. That's where I ultimately found myself. All of the evidence of top-tier career woman, super mom, and extraordinary wife were somewhere tucked away in a closet, hidden. And I had to trust that though I couldn't easily see and flow in those things, that they were still there and they were very much a part of me, that they were me. I had to trust that just because I couldn't easily flow in those things the way I used to, that I was still the woman who could. This required me to address old beliefs and unacknowledged ways of thinking, such as doing and accomplishing were what defined me and gave me purpose, what validated me, or this possibility, this belief that I was never actually who I thought I was, that I was just performing well and the gig was finally up. I had to get to a place of truth and ultimately a place of trust. I had to start trusting myself. I had to start trusting what God put inside of me. And I had to start believing what He said about me. I had to stop trusting in what I could see and start trusting in what I knew to be true. And I had to live in that. I had to live more and more each day in the truth that I am who I am, who I know I am, no matter what I see, mistakes and all. And I had to trust that the mistakes I made along the way weren't evidence of deception or my refusal to accept reality, but were evidence of me being on a journey of growth and learning and evolving. That experience taught me that the mind chatter that says you aren't who you think you are, it never goes away. It never goes away, no matter what you do. But you can be stronger in who you are and what you know to be true. So I walked in the truth of who I am with honesty and grace. And here's the thing, being honest with myself, that's never been hard for me. I'm very transparent and honest with myself. However, walking in God's truth of who I am, that was a different story, because it required me to override what I saw at times, because His truth overrides the facts we see any day. His truth is final. And as much as I thought I lived my life in that, I came to realize I really hadn't. I really wasn't. But honesty did help me on my journey. because it gave me clear, measurable outcomes that I could use in my fight against imposter syndrome. So I pulled out the receipts. I pulled out all of the evidence that pointed to me being who I say I am. Everything that pointed to me being the version of myself that I knew to be true. I mapped it out. I laid out the receipts. And in that case, honesty served me well. I pulled out all of the evidence of all of the times I did show up as the woman I said I was. And I realized that because I was so focused on all the things I had done wrong, I was missing all the things I had done right. And when I say the receipts freed me, and because I was honest and transparent with myself, I could clearly see all of the ways in which I actually was this woman. And it really helped me realize how much energy I had spent discrediting myself instead of embracing all of the things that actually made me me. I realized that I didn't need any external validation because I had my own validation. I had everything I needed inside of me to know I am who I say I am. No deception, no fraudulence, 100% real, 100% me. And that made silencing the mind noise and all the mind chatter that said I'm not who I think I am, that made it so much easier to silence. Learning to trust myself while starting to actually believe what God said about me and being honest about my evidence was great and all, but it wasn't pushing me to feel like I was walking in the fullness of who I am and what I felt I should be doing. But it wasn't pushing me in the way I needed it to for me to feel like I was walking in the fullness of me. I know I'm meant for great things, and I've always sensed that. So I needed something that felt more aligned with the version of myself that I know I am and I know I'm meant to be. I had to have something that felt more aligned with the version of me that I had to fight to believe I am. Which is why I locked in and went full speed on living the life I know I am created to live. Rather than waiting for all of the evidence to match up and all of the pieces to fall in place, I decided to lock in and live the life of the woman I know I am. I took it to another level during my 75-day challenge, #me75, and I actually have a video on that, so I will link that video. But in that challenge, I went all in, no limitations, nothing stopping me. I went full force in building the life and living the life that I know I'm meant to have. I went full force in living my ideal life during my 75-day challenge, the Me75, and I'll link that video if you want to check that journey out. But I just stopped waiting for the world and my environment and my circumstances to validate what I knew to be true and just started living it. I started living it fully because I no longer needed anyone or anything to validate my existence, to validate who I am. I no longer needed anyone or anything to agree with me because I knew what I knew to be true, and I walked in it. And that brings me to this point on my path. I'm no longer waiting for validation. I'm no longer waiting for evidence. I'm no longer waiting for the external world to validate who I know I am, what I know I have to offer, what I know lies within me. I'm no longer waiting for validation or permission because I know what I know. I know I am made in God's image and likeness. I know I am a great wife. I know I am a phenomenal mother. I know I am a dynamic founder and CEO. I know I am an extraordinary learning architect and instructional designer. And I no longer need external validation for any of these things to be true. So I just live it out. And when the mind chatter tries to tell me otherwise, I lock in on the knowledge of who I am. Regardless of what anyone else thinks, I know who I am. And I know what's true. And there's no faking that. And since I've been walking in what I know to be true, I've seen the shifts already. And I know there's many more shifts coming. And I know that the opposing mind chatter of doubt and fear will always try to creep in. But I also know that I am who I am. And that who I know I am and who I believe myself to be is who the world will see me as. So I walk in that truth. I don't have it all figured out, but I have figured out that no one can tell you who you are or who you aren't. Only you can decide who you are. And the things that you say to yourself, the thoughts that you meditate on, those all compound to who you are. The truth is, we're all on a journey. We're all figuring it out. And there is no end point. There is no destination. It's a journey that's meant to be a journey of evolution and growth and progression. So if you find yourself doubting who you are, ask yourself, where is this thought coming from? Why do I think this? Have I always believed this? If not, what was different? Know that you truly can be whoever you want to be. And if you aren't the version of yourself that you want to be, the only thing stopping you from walking in that is you. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. And until next time, I'll see you in my next one.